All right, let's jump right into this explainer. Today, we are taking a massive virtual road trip across the United States. We're going to unpack everything from its undeniable superpower status and those breathtaking natural wonders, all the way down to local comfort food and essential travel etiquette. Let's dive in and see what makes this nation so incredibly unique.
We've got a lot of ground to cover today. We'll start with the big picture, the superpower landscape, history, and economy, before zooming in on the natural beauty, iconic landmarks, local culture, and wrapping up with a quick, essential travel guide.
So, kicking things off with the superpower landscape and just the sheer scale of the place.
When we talk about the U.S., we're not just talking about the glitz of Hollywood or NASA space launches. The scale here is literally staggering. We're looking at a population of over 347.3 million people spread across 50 distinct states. To put that into perspective, that makes it the third most populous country on Earth, right behind India and China.
And because it spans a massive 9.8 million square kilometers, keeping time? Yeah, it's actually pretty complicated. The country uses 6 distinct time zones. So by the time you travel from the East Coast all the way out to Hawaii, the gap is so huge that while someone in Washington, D.C. is sipping their afternoon coffee, a person in Honolulu might just be rolling out of bed.
Moving right along to history and the economy, basically how they built this superpower.
It's crazy how fast this journey to becoming a modern superpower actually happened. I mean, it kicked off with European arrival in 1492, but the real spark, that was July 4th, 1776, with the adoption of the Declaration of Independence. Fast forward through the Revolutionary War, and by 1788, the U.S. Constitution was locked in, which completely laid the groundwork for the nation we know today.
So how exactly do you govern all of that? Well, it operates as a constitutional republic. Power is shared pretty deliberately between a central federal government and those 50 individual states. Citizens elect the representatives to make the calls, and it's all headed up by a president who uniquely acts as both the head of state and the head of government.
On the economic front, it's a real balancing act. A mixed economy. It leans heavily into capitalism. Think private sector innovation, tech leadership, high productivity driving massive global GDP. But it balances that out with socialist elements, where the government chips in to fund public health care, education, and of course that huge network of interstate highways.
Okay, let's pivot a bit to natural beauty and biodiversity, from the deepest valleys to the highest peaks.
The geographical extremes here are just wild. You can literally stand at the highest point in North America, Mount Denali up in Alaska, towering at a freezing 20,310 feet. Or you could head down to Badwater Basin in California's Death Valley. That sits 282 feet below sea level, and let me tell you, it is often the absolute hottest point in the country.
Because of that massive footprint, you get pretty much every climate imaginable. We're talking tropical weather in Hawaii, dry deserts in Nevada, freezing Arctic conditions in Alaska. And all these distant climates support an incredibly diverse ecosystem. It's home to some seriously iconic wildlife, like the roaming American bison and, of course, the majestic bald eagle.
So, with all that history, a powerhouse economy, and wild diversity spanning 6 time zones, you're probably wondering, what is it actually like to get on the ground and experience this place as a visitor?
Which brings us perfectly to tourism and iconic landmarks, experiencing America firsthand.
The city vibe here really caters to absolutely everyone. You've got the iconic Statue of Liberty and the hustle of Times Square in New York, or you can chase movie magic out in Hollywood. Maybe you're more into crossing the stunning Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco, geeking out over the political history in Washington, D.C., or hey, just finding some family fun at Walt Disney World in Orlando. There's honestly something for every type of traveler.
But if you're more of a nature person, you are in luck. The country protects its biodiversity through over 430 national park sites. That includes Yellowstone, which is actually the world's very first national park, famous for its geothermal geysers. Then you've got the awe-inspiring Grand Canyon, carved out over millennia, the roaring Niagara Falls right on the Canadian border, and those massive granite cliffs at Yosemite.
Let's move on to American culture and festivals, which is truly the soul of the nation.
You really see the cultural diversity shine when festival season hits. I mean, you've got the crazy, colorful, costume-filled parades of Mardi Gras down in New Orleans. Out in New Mexico, there's the International Balloon Fiesta, where the sky is just filled with massive hot air balloons. You've got Burning Man out in the Nevada desert pushing radical art, Coachella bringing the world's top musicians to California, and the beautiful Aloha festivals celebrating Hawaiian heritage out in the Pacific.
And look, you can't talk culture without talking food, right? American cuisine is this massive melting pot of global influences adapted into beloved classics. We're talking iconic cheeseburgers, mac and cheese, and sweet apple pie. But the regional flavors, just as vital. Think about a deeply flavorful, spicy southern gumbo from Louisiana, or a rich, creamy bowl of clam chowder up on the coast.
Okay, on to our final section, the essential travel guide if you're actually planning to make the trip yourself.
So, if you're feeling inspired to pack your bags, let's talk logistics. First off, get that passport and US visa sorted. Then, brace yourself for a massive journey. A flight from, say, Delhi to DC is a whopping 12,000 kilometers. Try to plan your trip for the peak season, anywhere from March to August. Oh, and definitely leave some extra room in your suitcase. Between American electronics and chocolates, you are going to want to do some souvenir shopping.
Now, just as important as the visa is knowing the local etiquette. This is huge. Tipping your servers generously at restaurants isn't just polite, it's practically required. Americans also really value their personal space, so try not to stand too close to strangers. Keep in mind that smoking in public places is strictly prohibited almost everywhere.